As you know, streaming devices are not created equal, and budget streaming devices very much not created equal. So we're going to be reviewing these today. I have in my hands 3 streaming sticks, all retailing for under $40, and in most cases a bit less than that. So I got all 3 of these for less than $100, and here we're going to decide which one will be right for you. So let's dive in. Hey everybody, Craig here for Reviews.org. Thanks so much for joining me. Now, a few months ago, Fire TV came out with a new 4K Stick Select, I think is what it's called. And as I'm recording this, you can get it on Amazon for about $25. Now, compare that to a couple other devices we have here, the Roku Streaming Stick Plus, that's a 4K device, and the the one with the ONN period on it, the ON streaming stick. This is full HD, and you can get it right now for just over $30. So all 3 of them are relatively cheap, but which one should earn your hard-earned dollars? If you're just going on price, then hey, you're done. I've given you all the info already. But it's not just about price, is it? It's about how these sticks perform, what it's like to use them on a daily basis. That is what this video is about. Now, there are some obvious categories that we're going to look at. Price, right? We already went over that. So if it's just about that, then you already know who the winners are. If it's just about streaming quality, right? 4K versus HD, then you already have a loser since the ON stick only does full HD. But in this video, I want to dig a little bit deeper. We're going to go into what it's like to use this on a daily basis. So I gave myself a few tasks and did those tasks across all 3 devices and weighted them and scored them. And yeah, there's a pretty clear winner if you're looking for a budget streaming device. Which one is it? Well, let's dive in and find out. Each of them, of course, came in the box with a remote, the batteries, the cables you need to get this all set up, and they're all pretty comparable there. So no big clear winner on which one is the best out of the box. They're all pretty much the same. But what's it like to actually use these devices? Okay, let's take a look over here at the setup process. All right, so you'll see all 3 devices here, or all 3 interfaces. We've got the Roku, the Fire TV, and the ON device. And when we go through the setup process, which I'm going to need to speed up significantly, you'll see some clear winner and clear loser situations going on here. So the Fire TV, by far the quickest. It wasn't even a contest. Now, let me talk you through this just a little bit. How did I go about this? I set up each device and then wiped it, and then set it up again, and then wiped it, and set it up again. Each of these tasks I did 3 times. So the setup process for my Fire TV on average took 2 minutes and 41 seconds. The Roku clocked in at 8:12, and the ON device a whopping 20 minutes and 27 seconds. Now, what does this mean, and why is this the case that it took so long? Here's the deal. I've been reviewing streaming sticks and boxes and services for so long that I have all of these ecosystems already set up. I've got accounts, I've got the apps that are loaded onto my devices, so setup should be a breeze. And on Fire TV, it really was. I just put in my email address, scanned a couple QR codes here and there, had to put in my Wi-Fi password, and then a couple minutes later, it was done. It was pulled up. Once I got to the homepage interface, I counted that as done once that was fully populated. Similarly, on the Roku side, the setup was very easy. It did take longer because of some glitches and mistakes that the software was making a couple of times, so it averaged out to be a little bit slower. Still, it was easy, even if it was a little bit slower. Or I should say a lot slower. But speaking of a lot slower, the ON device was kind of a nightmare for setup. You go through the Google Home app, and that's going to automatically plug it into your Wi-Fi and your Google account, all of that stuff. But that app is notoriously glitchy when it comes to especially connecting to Wi-Fi. So I sat on a loading screen on that ON device for quite a long time, waiting for it to connect, and it just took forever to do so. So that one, is the setup process the most important thing about all of this? Maybe not. But I do think it's a good indicator of the quality and speed of the device. This one is quite slow, as is Google's back-end interface when it comes to getting set up. Let's talk about another thing that you're going to do probably pretty rarely, and that's restart your device. If your device starts getting glitchy or really slow, you can go in the settings and manually restart your device. So you're not doing a factory reset here. It's just turning it off, turning it back on again. The old IT trick, right? So to do that, like I said, you just go into the settings, you hit the restart. The question is, how long does it take to go through that cycle and boot back up? So the Roku came in at 38 seconds. That was our winner. The Fire TV was right behind it at 40 seconds, and the On device 113. So not a huge spread here, but enough to give us a couple of clear winners and one clear loser. Now, we've already got a couple of winners and losers in those categories, and those are our lowest weighted categories because they are the things that you're not going to be doing all that often, right? But now let's get into the stuff that you're doing on a daily basis as you're using these devices. Let's get into, first of all, app start. So you hover over the Netflix button, whether it's on your remote or on the interface. In this case, I chose to go with the interface, and you hit the select button and start that app. How long does it take? Well, here we've got not just a winner, but a shockingly clear winner. Again, I did this 3 times for each device. I chose the quickest one for each, trying to be fair, but honestly, they were always within a few seconds of their other results. So the Fire TV came in at 7 seconds. That's going from hitting the Netflix button to getting into the Netflix interface, ready to navigate. The Roku did 23 seconds, the On device 26 seconds. So those are quite a bit longer than the Fire Stick. Again, a clear winner here. Sticking with that theme, let's talk about app switching. So that's just what it took to get to one app one time. But what if you're kicking around, you're not finding anything on Netflix, you jump over to Hulu, you look at Prime Video or whatever, right? How long does it take to switch from one app to another? So here's what I did. Again, 3 times. I went to Netflix, I went to 2 other apps, then back to Netflix, and once I got to that navigable screen on Netflix, I counted that as done. So if we look at our results here, we've got 102 for the Fire TV, 115 for the Roku, and 207, 2 minutes and 7 seconds to go through that sort of app switching on the On device. So in this case, Fire TV and Roku were pretty close, but we do have another winner there, and this category gets weighted fairly highly because this is something that most people are going to be doing a fair bit. Next, we'll go to the voice search. The purpose of this category was to figure out not just who was the fastest at pulling up results, but how those results did. So I purposely selected a title that I remember from the early 90s when I was just a boy, and it's called Only the Strong. It's this kind of obscure martial arts movie. You should check it out. It's a lot of fun. But I searched Only the Strong and then looked for those results. What I counted was not just who pulled up any results the fastest, but how quickly I was able to see any result that had something to do with that obscure title. And in this case, the winner was a little more shocking. The On device ended up getting our search results within 3 seconds. The Fire TV within just 5 seconds. So a little bit slower, but honestly, not much. The Roku, though, came in at 17 seconds on this search. I think because this was an obscure title, not easily found, it didn't quite know what to do with it or where to send me. Because Roku really wants to show you where to go stream it now, whether it's rent or buy or watch it for free, and those things weren't available, so it kind of wigged out a little bit. And that's exactly why I did it this way. If you search a really popular movie that's available everywhere, your search results are going to be pretty easy, pretty quick. But what happens when it's something that you love that's a little obscure? Well, the Roku struggles a little bit. Now, your mileage may vary. You're going to be using the voice search in a different way, but I purposely, again, chose something that was a little bit obscure so that we could see how the platforms handle that kind of search. Our final category is the thing that you'll probably do the very most on your device, and that's playback start. So you've gone into Netflix, Hulu, Pluto TV, whatever, and you hit the button that says, watch this, play. how long does it take for this device to begin streaming and loading that content and then playing it back for you? Here's how I measured this one. I would hit the play button and then look at the timeline at the bottom. Once it hit 1 second, it's clear to me that the content is loaded, it's started to play. That's my finish line. In this one, we're dealing with just a few seconds for each. They all performed pretty well, but the Roku came in the winner at about 4.5 seconds. The On device came in at 5.2 seconds, and then the Fire TV at about 6.4. So is there a huge spread between these? Not necessarily, but I am still going to declare Roku the winner and give it the most points in this category because this is, like I said, something that you're going to be doing every day on that device. So it's maybe the most important category that we have here. And if you're playing a lot of stuff, yeah, those seconds, those extra seconds, they add up. So we've got our winners from each category. We've got the weights for each category. How did it all shake out? Well, Fire TV came out on top with 7 points, Roku with 5 points, and the On device with a very slight 2 points. Now, with those scores in mind, let's talk about each device just a little bit longer. Is the On device worth your money? I would say generally no. If you are a huge devotee of the Google TV interface and you really want to stick with that and you only have a few bucks to spend on a streaming device, then sure, go ahead. Is it a terrible device? No, but you are going to run into some headaches, some slow click-throughs, slower playback, etc. But it worked, right? It's not like it's a busted device or anything. That's kind of where I put that one. I wouldn't rank it very highly. I don't recommend it highly, but it's okay. The Roku stick did fine. This one comes in at the most expensive price point right now as I'm recording this. Of course, things change online all the time. But yeah, this one came in a little pricier than the others. It scored much higher than the On device, and appropriately so. It was a lot easier and more pleasant to use than the On device. So do I recommend this one? Yes, if you are very much in the Roku ecosystem. If you're into the Roku ecosystem, if that's what you're used to, you prefer it over the others, then is the Fire TV device that much better that you should switch from Roku? Probably not. It's not that much better. The setup process was obviously faster, but everything was close enough that I'd say you're going to do just fine with this Roku stick. The obvious winner, of course, was the Fire TV stick. So if you are starting from scratch, you've never used any of these streaming devices before, or you're just willing to switch to whatever, and you're only spending up to 40 bucks, then yeah, definitely get the Fire TV Stick Select. I thought it was a really good budget device. Is it as good as their upper end devices or other things like the Apple TV 4K or what have you? No, it's not. But for a budget device, it worked remarkably well. It was quick, it was responsive, and easy to set up, especially if you already have a Fire TV account. So there you go, those are my rankings. Let me know what you think of them in the comments below. Of course, on your way down there, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know what other devices I should be checking out. Now, we're talking about budget devices here, but you're welcome to say, hey, Craig, you really have to do the Apple TV. Fair enough. We could do the battle of the not-so-budget streaming devices. That would be fun. But if you want me to do that, you're going to have to like and subscribe because it's going to take a little more scratch to get there. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.